What's up, everybody? 40's here bringing you another Shaman build guide. The Upheaval Shatter Shaman is back. This build guide will feature two different gear sets, one that is very easy to obtain and the way that I started this build, as well as what I moved into. It'll also include the talent tree, the skill points, and some gameplay, as well as a little bit of discussion. But first, I was wondering how I would upload Shaman builds going forward, and I decided that I'm going to do a weekly episode of my Shaman build of the week, where I will work on a build for an entire week and try and get any kinks worked out, issues, do as much testing as I can on the build, find what works best, what didn't work well, and then at the end of the week I'll give it to you guys. This is my first attempt at that, so here we go. Okay, so first up is the gear. This first set of gear is what I wore for the beginning of this build, and what I spent probably 80% of the build in. So this is all pretty obtainable gear. You can see I got the Frozen Ire Scepter, which is really easy to obtain. The Cradle of the Erase, Weaver's Will Shield. I have some good rolls on here. Well, decent rolls. The block chance is decent. This is easy to obtain. The Weaver's Will Primalist Relic, easy to obtain. And then on the actual items, I was looking primarily for health, high health, attunement, and that was it. When it came to damage, well, crit was important too, but when it came to damage, I learned that you want to avoid things like elemental damage or physical damage or cold damage. When at all possible, you want to get spell damage if you can, if you're going to go get it. Crit chance is better, especially on the neck like this neck, where I've got crit chance and spell crit chance. Those are good rolls. And the other thing that was extremely important and very, very important, since this is a very mana-intensive build, is going to be mana regen. So Attunement, which is going to give you passive mana regen through the skill tree, and then like straight mana regen. You can see I had it on this ring. I actually had taken it off of this ring. I don't know why, but I had it here on the belt. I had the implicit mana regen as well as Attunement on these gloves. And then on this Frozen Ire, I had put on mana regen, a T6 mana regen. It's going to be very noticeable, and if you don't go for mana regen, this build's going to feel pretty bad. So we'll start with that, and we'll move on to the second set of gear here, where you can see things ended up a bit different. Just going to say these boots right here, foot of the mountain, it took me a considerable amount of time to get these that had 2 LP on them. I had probably 25 pairs that I got, and I would say that my luck was worse than average could expect. Yeah, but I got about 25 pairs, of which only 3 of them had LP. I got 2 1LPs, and then I got this 2 LP set. The first 2 did not. I tried to roll movement speed on them, did not get it, and then this one rolled movement speed as well as the attunement roll on the boots, which is really nice. This was like best case roll. Movement speed is very important because, as you can see, the boots have an implicit for only 7 to 9% movement speed, that's pretty bad. And then there is no movement speed modifier in the boots. So if you just pick these boots up and you wear these, you're going to feel very slow, and it feels very bad. So I would say don't even worry about using these boots until you can roll movement speed on them. And if you like this build, and it is a ton of fun to play, you're going to spend a lot of time in Lightless Arbor looking for these boots. And then along the way, you might find yourself a 2 LP Peak of the Mountain, which is a nice helmet for this build and in many other builds. So if you can get that helmet and you can roll health and attunement on it like I did, or something like that, then it can be usable for many builds. Now, what else did I change? I got the Mad Alchemist label. I moved away from the Frozen Ire. The reason why I moved away from Frozen Ire is because the Shatter mechanic that Upheaval uses with the totems is a physical spell and not cold. It does not scale off cold. So the Frozen Ire had that plus cold spell damage per level. It ended up not being worth it. So this was good. You're going to want to put like spell crit on it. Cast speed is very nice. For Avalanche, you're going to notice really quick, especially if you set up auto casting on things like Warcry and Avalanche like I did. The amount of time that your character stops for while running is pretty big if you have no cast speed. So getting like 40% cast speed on the weapon is going to feel very good. And then my gloves had stayed the same. Attunement, they were the same pair of gloves I used pretty much all the way through. I tried a couple other pairs, but this is the one I like the best. You could replace that crit strike with cast speed if you want to. It'd feel better. This Font of the Race rolled really nicely for me. I got Attunement, cold freeze rate and cold, which was okay. You know, maybe I would have stayed with the mana regen one if it had if I had gotten a better one with like high health, but I rolled health on this as well, so it was worth it. I did switch to this ring from that gold ring, and this one had the T6 mana regen, attunement, and then base mana regen. This was a huge ring. This is giving me a ton of mana regen. The same belt, same chest piece. That 9 to 15 mana is not good. This chest ended up kind of bricking when I was working on it, which is unfortunate, but I got the 2 to Upheaval, which is important, and I got a tier 7 health roll, and I got poison res, so that was okay. And then I kept the same neck. I tried out a bunch of different gear, but this is what worked best. Now, the relic. This relic is hard to get. I've also probably ran about 60 to 70 T3 or higher Soulfire Bastions, and I hate that dungeon. I found that I'd actually given up on farming this. I was farming this for a different build guide that I was working on, which I abandoned because I couldn't get this item. Now that I got it, I might put it out. But this is a great item. If you don't convert your Avalanche to pure cold, then this will give you increased cast speed with the Avalanche. It is 13%. But it's going to give you, base mana regen, attunement implicit, all res implicit, stun chance with physical and fire, crit strike with physical and fire, and increased damage with physical and fire. And remember, the shatter is a physical spell, so all of the stuff on this applies. This is a great relic for this build if you can get it, but if you can't, it's okay. The Primalist one, just get a Primalist one with some good rolls and you'll be fine. And then I'm only going to mention 2 idols here. Well, it's really only 1 idol because I just have 2 of them. But a high chance to summon Thorn Totem, you're going to want 8% or higher. Below 8% it's going to feel worse. 10% feels great. I don't have 10%, but it feels good, I'm sure. I've been told. And then spell damage. Increased spell damage feels is needed here. Don't go for the cold damage, okay? Because remember, the shatter is physical. Okay, it will not scale with the increased cold damage. Go for the spell damage when you have an active totem. And I think that about covers it with gear, so we'll move on to the talent tree now. Okay, for the talents, starting off in the Primalist talent section, Gift of the Wilderness, 40 health, minion 20% increased health, that's going to be beneficial. Attunement, of course, you want the attunement. 2 out of 5 here in Hunter's Restoration for a little bit of health and to help us bridge the gap to a further down node. 1 here in Primal Medicine. This is going to once again bridge us to the gap for this node right here, which we're going to want to dump 5 points into. This is going to give us 50 health, 50% companion health, and then it's going to reduce the companion revival speed by 25%, and that's really nice. That is going to be really nice when your Spriggan dies, because the Spriggan is providing us a couple of pretty important buffs. And you're going to notice this right away. If you've been running with companions and they've died, you're going to notice, wow, this guy gets up way quicker. Moving on into the Beastmaster tree, we're going to have the cookie cutter usual Beastmaster's talents with Ursine Strength, Boarheart, Porcine Constitution, Boarheart again, and then the Call of the Pack to bridge the gaps between those 2 nodes. And then in Druid, we're going to go into Spirit Warden, Druidic Prowess, and then 5 points into Blessed Springs. We need to get the Summon Spriggan, and that requires 15 points in Druid, so we're spending a little bit more there, and that's okay. Okay, and for the Shaman passes, we're going to take 8 out of 8 in Shamanic Infusion for the Attunement, 2 out of 8 here for the Shock Chance for a Complex, so we can have that less damage taken. Silent Protector, this is going to give us 24 mana regen and armor while we have an active totem. The mana regen, I'm not sure if it's worth 8 points, but that's what we took. 8 points in Earthen Supremacy for the attunement. 7 out of 8 here in Runes of Awe for the spell damage. And the reason why we go here as opposed to like up here is because the the Totem Shatter is not cold damage. This is only cold damage. It is physical spell damage, so this will improve that as well as other spells. And then Elemental Shrines, 8 out of 8 here for the attunement, as well as the 2% mana regen per 3 attunement. 4 to 5 in Lagon's Answer, and 8 out of 8 in Conflux. And then I had 2 remaining points. I put them here. You could put them in Boar's Heart back in the Beastmaster tree to finish that out all the way to 5 points, but I just put them here, and maybe that's not the best, but that's the way we went. So that's it for talents. Okay, so starting with Upheaval, we're going to go ahead and take the reduced mana cost here. 3 points, 2 out of 3 in Maiming Rubble, 1 out of 1 convert to cold, and then 2 out of 5 here, and then Sublimation for the Shatter. And in my testing, I found that the Shatter, I'm pretty sure, did work. When an enemy died from a Totem Shatter, it still would proc this Cold Shatter, so that's just helpful. And then 2 out of 5 here, and 2 out of 3 in Primal Bulwark. This is going to give you two maximum stacks with 2 armor per attunement per stack. So 1 stack, if you have 100 attunement, is going to give you 200 armor. 2 stacks, 400 armor. Really good buff here. And just note that a lot of these other things in the tree that you see that look really good, like the base crit, the crit multi, the penetration, the multiplicative damage here, none of that affected the tooltip damage of the Shatter. So that's why I did not take that stuff. The damage of the Shatter did not change. I don't know if that's correct or if that's a bug, but that's just how it was in game. Moving on, 3 out of 5 in Unstoppable Strength, 1 out of 3 Sundering Strike, 2 out of 4 Rock Upsurge, and 1 out of 1 in the Rejuvenating Splinters. This is the Totem Shatter, the bread and butter. And one of the really nice mechanics on this Rejuvenating Splinters node is not only does it shatter your totems, but you get healed each time one of the shards of rock hits an enemy for 2 points per attunement. So what that translates to is if you have 100 attunement, which is probably around where you're going to be if you play this build to a high level, even at 80 points, but just going to say 100, which is a little bit less than what I have. That's 200 health to you per rock shard that hits an enemy. So if you have, it doesn't say how many rock shards come out, but let's just say if 5 come out and they pierce a bunch of enemies around you, that's going to be 1,000 healing and that's just 1 totem. All 5 totems are exploding. So you'll notice in some of the gameplay, my health can go up and down quite a bit. The healing is crazy fast and insane, and you should have almost no problem. The more enemies that are around you, the safer you are, actually. So that's kind of how this build plays. And then we're going to have 1 out of 1 in Excavating Blow and 1 out of 1 in Erupting Earth. This node, this sucks. This node sucks on mana, and that's what makes it so mana intensive, but you need this. And then this node right here, Erupting Earth, makes the lines come out from you in a star pattern, which basically translates to hits exactly where 5 totems, Thorn totems, would spawn. So this is really necessary, and it'll feel really good. Moving on to Summon Spriggan. We're going to go ahead and take the Aura of Life for the healing, the additional spell damage, 3 out of 3 here, and then the base crit and crit avoidance. This is a lovely talent. This talent right here makes Spriggan worth it the entire way through. 1 out of 1 for the vines, 1 out of 1 to convert it to cold, 2 out of 5 here, 3 out of 5 here. These are just going to be survivability nodes. 1 out of 5 in the roots, and then 1 out of 1 to make the roots cast. These nodes are all honestly interchangeable. The only thing that's important here is going to be the Aura of Life, the spell damage, and then the crit chance. You can do whatever you want with these other few nodes. It doesn't matter. Whatever you complements your playstyle best is what's going to work. Alright, moving on to Avalanche. The first thing we're going to do is just basically max out this entire tree. This is going to make Avalanche follow you, and then it's going to make Avalanche target enemies, then it's going to make it not channeled, and then it's going to make it follow exactly where you are. Max out the mana efficiency, max out the duration. That feels good here. Then we're going to take 3 points in the boulder impact area, another 3 out of 4 in the boulder impact area, and then we're going to go 2 out of 4 in the fall speed. And that's your Avalanche. This is going to summon your Thorn Totems, guys. Avalanche does the majority of the work summoning Thorn Totems, as the best way to summon the Thorn Totems extremely quickly. So you'll notice if you were to use a different setup, it wouldn't be as reliable. This feels good. Put this on autocast with Warcry and with your Spriggan aura, those 3 buttons on autocast, which is what I do, and that makes it feel really good. Okay, moving on to Warcry. So normally in my builds, I really like these nodes in here with the Berserker and the Brutality, the Fury Strikes, but this is not really an attack speed build, so we went a different route with this. Took the Juggernaut, of course, for the invulnerability for 1 second after Warcry. The Breath of Terra, don't really need that, doesn't really matter. Purging Shout, this is going to cleanse your negative elements, which is always beneficial. Up here, 2 out of 5. And this is just really a bridger to get us here. Well, it's a bridger to get us up here, but we also go here, which is converting it to cold and reducing and removing the knockback. That's important. We don't want to knock things back. 2 out of 4 here. This is nice. It increases crit chance, but we have really high crit chance, especially if you had that peak of the mountain, so you don't really need this. It's more for this right here. 5% chance to work on crit. Now, so many of those little splinters are going to go out from your totems that this is basically going to proc every single time after you Warcry, which is just going to give you like a double Warcry, and that's beneficial for a few reasons: for the crit, ailment cleansing, and then the haste. This, you are going to feel really slow on this build, so this haste here is really nice, and then with the frenzy on top of it to provide the increased, it gives you cast and attack speed, but it's more about the cast speed. So you spend stop for less time to cast that Avalanche. Then you're going to take these nodes all the way down into here, once again, take it to this guy, Shallow Breath, which is going to reduce the cooldown by 50%, putting us on a 4-second CD for Warcry. This node right here, plus 120%, 4 out of 5. You can max this out if you want to, but you'd have to pick a point to take away, unless you have plus Warcry somewhere, like on your offhand. Then, max this out if you do, and maybe even put more points here, or put a point there so you can get healing to your Spriggan companion. And that's about it for Warcry. Okay, moving on to Summon Thorn Totem. We are going to take the max totems, of course, the 3 out of 4 to bridge to the summon all totems at once in a ring around you. And this is very nicely lined up with Upheaval, and where the star pattern Upheaval hits. 2 out of 5 here, 4 out of 5 here. You don't need to put 4 here. These 2 points, you can put them somewhere else, but these totems will be coming up and down so fast that there's really no great place to put these. So I just put them there. 3 out of 4 here, and that's to get us to this guy, which is going to make the totems explode when they get unsummoned or destroyed. And that's really nice. It's part of the entire frost ice explosion of this build, which looks very satisfying to watch and even is more satisfying to play. Then we're going to take 1 out of 1 into Pills of Harrot, which is going to convert this poison to cold for the explosion. And then we went here for the freeze rate multiplier point of doom. And I'm not really sure if this is going to do anything for us, but it is what it is. You have a lot of extra points. The important ones are these 3 here, this one guy there, and then Pillars of Harrot. Those are the really important ones. And that'll do it for skills. Alright guys, that'll about do it for this build guide. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have fun playing this build. If you enjoyed the build guide, give me a follow. Head over to my Twitch, give me a follow. I'm still working on making an affiliate on Twitch. So until then, I'll be able to keep putting out more and more content, and I hope to see some of you on my stream. So have fun and enjoy the gameplay. And also, thank you for the criticisms and suggestions on the last YouTube video. I hope that I will have improved the sound better, so I'm a little bit louder on the video. And I did try to make sure to include the corruption level of the content that I was fighting this time, just so you can see I wasn't doing anything lower than what I was claiming. And that'll wrap it up, I think. So thanks, guys.
alright.